I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. One's Lizzie and one's Connell and Joe Dini in the morning. You'll notice one is missing. Yeah, that's right. Sadly, Sazzy has got Christmas plague, so we're sans Sazzy at the minute. But get well soon, mate. Smashing. All right, this is the Book of Noel. We take a terrible Christmas film and we like watch it and then talk about it. Who'd have thought? Modern entertainment is a fascinating thing. This time, I mean, the whole kind of nexus of the show is picking terrible Christmas films, and we have picked a fucking terrible one today. You are so lucky. And to give a roundup of the plot, everything within it, that in a way that won't inform you in any way, here's Connell with his synopsis.
Synopsis!
An insufferable bunch of Tories have Christmas in a stately home in Yorkshire. None of them like each other, and I understand why. The four main sisters are all individually horrible in their own special way, and their dad left, and I can understand why.
You should never side with the absentee father, should you?
Especially when he's Frasier.
Yeah. The surname is Christmas, and the dad comes back, which makes for a cracking title. It's a tale of confusing lies. It's a tale of confusing lies, traumatizing secrets, privilege, and cross-nobbing that makes for a terribly shitty film. Caroline Quentin gets the horn. The guy from the BT ads gets cuckolded. Sideshow Bob is treated like shit. Basil Fawlty lowers his bar, and a fembot gets pregnant. This film has it all, but at the same time, it has nothing. The vapid, empty acting of the young boy in the family reads as kind of a metaphor for the empty, vapid storyline of this pointless film.
You're welcome.
Wow, Connell, that was like
that was a bit of a review.
Genuine movie criticism. As usually,
we've angered him. We pushed him too far.
Connell Commode. Kermode, not commode. Like that's a different thing in it. That's a toilet you're cacking.
Usually you talk about like padded gilets and you talk about rat-faced kings and stuff. Now, genuine insight there.
Yeah.
Really upset you. Okay, little competition. Which one did you hate the most?
It's good because there's a lot.
Yeah.
My surprise choice is possibly the youngest sister.
I agree. I'm with you.
Cousin sister.
Tallulah Riley.
She's probably my least favourite.
You know, it says something because I christened it. I also thought it was a Tory film. I christened it A Very Tory Christmas, and it says something about the film that they cast Tallulah Riley, who is the woman who was married twice to Elon Musk, and told him to buy Twitter so that he could stamp out wokeism. She's the liberal. She's cast as the liberal in this film.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Is that who she is then?
Yeah,
she's the youngest sister.
Well, now she's married. Weirdly, she's married to the child. He's not a child anymore, but the former child of Love Actually.
Sangston.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
Yeah.
I saw him once walking past Marks and Spencer. That's the story.
Whoa.
I know.
Did he have a bag?
He had an 80-year-old Liam Neeson explaining what love means to him, even though he's only about 25.
Well, now he's married a woman who will not allow for wokeism. So
that's insane. So much about this film is like cartoon two-dimensional cutouts of real human beings performing in a film. You know, they're not even the characters I'm talking about here. It's the actors. I thought the start was strong, where they all turned around like a US soap. It said starring John Cleese, starring
I quite liked that,
Hunter Riley as Chet. It was a really like US soap in
Chris Marshall.
Yeah, Chris Marshall. You're right though. It's a Daily Express circle jerk of all you needed was Lawrence Fox and Adriana from The Sopranos to
God.
complete the Thatcher circle jerk that was. We just don't do. We don't do stories about rich people very well in this country, I don't think. America does it fine. They don't seem to be bothered. Like Modern Family's about rich people, and that's really good. But we just really seem to struggle with our wealthy. Maybe we feel bad about it. Maybe it's tough to get away with. I don't know. But we never do it right.
No, and also they didn't do it right from a sort of, I feel like all the budget went on the actors,
Yeah.
which is arguably how you should do it. But then the decor, you know, this woman her name is Christmas. She is very type A about Christmas, as is
Mhm.
established within about 2 seconds of the film. And yet the decorations is like a pine cone.
Yeah.
I know it shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
but that stuff bothers me. Sorry.
As a woman
It
who
should
decorates
matter.
her tree with rainbow and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a real problem, isn't it? Because I think with a film like this, you for a narrative to work and move forward, you've either got to have crazy person in a world of normality or a normal person in a crazy world. And this, I think it's meant to circle around her. Is it Caroline?
Yeah.
And she's the least relatable, strange. That like when all the people like they're coming in the is it the Jag? It's not a Jag, is it? Rolls Royce. They're
It's
coming
the
in that new
Rolls-Royce,
Rolls
mate.
Royce, and they all come out, and she's just smiling like that. Is it meant to be funny? I'm not sure. So
No,
Yeah.
am I meant to kind of connect with you? Because I'm not. Right. I'm glad we're on her because that scene where she seduces Chris Marshall and does a
I know the one you mean.
Oh my God. What the fuck is wrong with
Yeah.
you? Everyone working on this film. It was embarrassing.
Oh,
Like
you didn't find that arousing then? I assumed it was
I
for
was
the
wanking while
heterosexual
it was
male.
on.
I loved it. I thought it was really sexy.
We've gone from a nation that's
That's
like
what
no
Chris
sex
Marshall
please for
likes.
British to a country that treats, I don't know, like it's all knockabout a sex scene. It's like a fucking advert for whole seasons or something. It's really weird.
It was really odd and long. I kept being like, this will be the end. Oh,
Yeah.
she's back again. She's
And
doing
then
a
she
horse
did that thing
noise.
where she's meant to be drunk in that scene,
Mm.
and she falls on the bed and falls asleep instantly. We've seen that a million times in other things. And then Chris Marshall goes, no, please, wake up, please, because he's not going to get what he wanted. I nearly went like that. He's not going to get.
For those listening, it was a finger bang sign.
The universal sign.
He wasn't going to get it. And then she goes, just kidding. And it's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, you've done it differently to all the other times I've seen that falling asleep drunk thing, but I don't know if it works the other way. Like, just cut all this out. We knew they were going to have sex. They mentioned it at the pub. Leave it at that. I don't need to see this bit. It's just like an extra 14 minutes or however long it lasts.
It was so long.
Watch this shit.
And it was completely out of character. Kidding. She had there was nothing up to that point that would, in a way, kind of. She hadn't earned that change of heart from anything. I suppose her dad had thought the relationship there had thawed a bit, but I don't know. Too much.
But then when she sobered up, she went back.
What's that?
She sobered up and went back to being horrible to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I thought we'd built bridges there, but okay, fine. Yeah. Kelsey Grammer's a piece of shit, even though we discovered that he's actually not.
Yeah.
Even before
mental.
Do we? There's a bit where Caroline Quentin's like, "Oh, just because your father wasn't in touch for all those years doesn't mean he doesn't want to be." And I'm like, "That's exactly what it means." It's like,
yeah.
And then that makes Caroline Quentin's character that much more egregious when you discover that she was the catalyst for his going away, and he had to try to get in contact with her. So it's why are you twisting the knife? Oh, because it's
and
exposition.
It sent a load of money as well.
Yeah,
sent loads of money to support them. It's like, hang on a minute, there's a definite bad guy in this film, and it's Caroline Quentin.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
This film really suffered with like, but twists though. and none of the twists made any sense. They were like, what if?
The twists confused everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the twists made Tallulah Riley's character the other's sister and cousin, I think, because the uncle is the dad, which is weird and gross. And Liz Hurley getting pregnant at 58. I mean, just because
That's a Christmas miracle.
Just because they've made her look like an OnlyFans Elvis, it doesn't make her look 30. Like, I mean, I love Liz Hurley, mad respect for her, but like, it's not happening.
Oh, yeah. It was.
And also, she hates children, and then she's suddenly thrilled because this man she's known for 10 minutes, even though she's famed for ditching men, like, very quickly.
Yeah.
The one line in the whole thing.
End up in Rolls Royces.
Yeah, the one line in the whole thing I did quite like was, "This bag's worth more than your kidneys." I don't know. Saying it to a child, I thought was quite brave. I've not heard that before.
Yeah, saying it to a child and meaning it is actually quite funny for me. Quite like that.
The laughs were very thin on the ground. Considering you've got Frasier, Fleabag, Towers, Badly, Powers. Family, My Family, rather. You've got a lot of stuff there, haven't you? And yeah, did you see Chris Marshall dancing along on the bed to when his wife was about to have sex with him?
That was.
Can you imagine the director going,
Marshall,
"Chris, just have fun with it, son. Just have fun with it."
Have you seen The Holiday?
What like this?
He was doing the oi. Oh man, like I'm a man of advancing years. In my 40s, I've had a sexual past. And never before I was on a promise of going, ew, gonna get.
Yeah.
It kind of, some might say it might ruin the mood.
It might. I mean, going back to your earlier point as well, it had a problem with not knowing whether we were meant to like her or not, but also like who was the main character. Because my husband Ross came in about halfway through. And he said, "Who's the main character?" And I was like, "Oh, that one in the background." And he was like, "All I've seen is Frasier." Like, as soon as Frasier arrives, it's his story. But also, we're definitely not meant to like it. Or are we? Maybe we are meant to like him, but we're certainly not meant to like him initially. Like, I'm not even sure what they're trying to say or do.
Credit where it's due. Kelsey Grammar brings it.
I agree.
He's a good actor.
Do you think?
He's a good actor in here.
I mean, the material he had was terrible. But it was like, you know, when you're a kid and you're having a kickabout in the park, and then suddenly your mate's brother turns up and he's about a foot taller than you and really, really good, and suddenly the whole game's ruined. It felt like that. They were all kind of like carry on. Like, Liz Hurley's a really bad actor.
Yeah.
Really quite. Considering this has been a job for ages, she hasn't learnt a thing. But it did feel like Kelsey Grammar. I mean, it was cheesy, but he'd been asked to do that. But he's just better at acting than anyone else in that.
I thought Caroline Quentin was all right because her part was awful. Her role was awful, like pretending to be aroused by John Cleese and then turning out to be the villain. Like, I don't know, it just wasn't. It was an odd role.
Yeah, everyone's obsessed with bingo cards this year. I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2024. I didn't have Basil Fawlty pretending to be a bull charging at Jonathan Creek's squeeze on my 2024 bingo card.
No.
That was out there.
Unnecessary.
Oh,
almost.
God.
I thought the daughter wasn't bad, though. The son was a bit out there. The son was a bit of a wild card, but the daughter was fine, I thought. She's probably the second best actor in it.
Yeah. The young daughter, the like granddaughter of Kelsey Grammar.
Yeah.
Is that who you mean? Yeah.
Without the Yorkshire accent. For some reason, one kid was from Yorkshire and the other one just wasn't.
I mean, in that family, it's probably another twist that they cut.
So we have her in the mansion, and this Lee lives out in the estate round the back. So there was a bit where Chris Marshall. I love Chris Marshall's always known by his full name. Like, I bet his wife calls him Chris Marshall. Do
you know why that is?
Go on.
It's because no one knows who he is, really, other than the guy on the BT ads
Yeah.
or My Family.
Yeah, I call
So
him
they
Nick,
always
Nick
go
from
on
My Family.
IMDb. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'll find out who he is. And then you see his full name and you're like, oh, yeah, it's Chris Marshall. I'll remember that for this podcast. And then tomorrow I'll have forgotten again. It's a BT guy.
So Chris Marshall, the BT guy, he's standing next to his crackpot wife, and she's got that smile on. That's just it's not funny, but it's when they come up in the Rolls Royce, and he goes, "Whoa, look at that, a Rolls Royce!" Kind of, mate, turn around. You
Yeah.
live in Windsor Castle, pal.
It was nice to see that the scaffold got a mention in a film.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked about perhaps the strangest C plot character
Yeah.
in the Western canon.
The woman who's writing a thesis on the Beatles and only speaks in Beatles lyrics almost.
I thought you'd like her,
almost,
Joe.
because she doesn't always.
She, I mean, so she's dressed like some kind of 1950s beatnik kind of poet, like the angular hair. She's obviously a slightly spectrum, maybe very obsessive.
Slightly, yeah.
Well, yeah. But she's very laser focused on one thing. The joke there is, it's got to be music, it should be, I don't know, Bach or John Coltrane. I love the Beatles to an unhealthy level, but they're a fun band. You know, I don't think the glory of the in Twist and Shout is meant to have the cold light of analysis blown on it. So it's not academic enough to make that joke work. Like, people keep rolling their eyes at her like, no, another one. They're the most popular band who've ever fucking lived. This doesn't match. She says, oh, I've got to the Yoko bit. That's 1966. You spent 10 years on this thesis. That means you've got.
Also, is it just a history of the Beatles? Like, I don't really understand what the thesis is.
She says on their breakup, it's the single most documented event in pop culture history. I don't think we need more insight onto that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand as well, are the whole family wealthy? Because obviously, like the Christmas family, because she's married Chris Marshall from My Family and the BT adverts, and he has this estate where John Cleese works.
And that's their uncle.
But John Cleese definitely goes back with the Christmas family a long way. So did he introduce them to Chris Marshall from the BT adverts? Or like, it's just a bit confusing. And then like, are they wealthy as well? Like John Cleese isn't wealthy.
Making sense of this is hard bloody work. I'd not even thought of that, but obviously that makes no sense because he clearly works there. And when you introduce to John Cleese, he works there as like the groundskeeper. Then it turns out that he's been shagging Caroline Quentin for at least 30 years for that girl to have been his daughter. And then John Cleese is Kelsey Grammer's brother. And that just blows the whole thing out of the water. And like, what? He don't work there. His family. I don't get it. I don't.
No.
The whole thing is shocking.
Yeah.
Shit. It wouldn't have been made if I'd have put it forward. Tell you that
also,
much.
like, they've clearly all been going to that house for a while because they've got like specific bedrooms that they want or don't want. And the main room in Caroline Christmas is like, Christmas has to be perfect because I really liked this. I wrote it down because it was such subtle storytelling. I've had 27 years of therapy trying to recalibrate Christmas after my shithead father abandoned us on Christmas Day. Gets to the point. But like, she wants Christmas to be perfect because he ruined Christmas, and to do that she has her family over, all of whom are horrible and she hates, and then don't appreciate her efforts. And I just didn't really understand the motivation behind that. You could have a nice Christmas if you didn't invite your sister who steals people's cars and sells them back to them.
And nothing, it's like, oh, well, I best win the raffle to get my car back. What? Call police. She's nicked. That really wound me up. All her clothes in the, just selling all your clothes. That's not some incredible gesture of the free-spirited young woman. That's like the act of a criminal.
I've never seen a woman who's worse at Christmas. Like, to say
Yeah.
she's so type A about it. She made that macaroni cheese they had that weird food fight with in the nasty plastic top, like it looked horrible, like congealed and unpleasant. And then she puts all her Christmas presents in matching bags with no labels on. Who'd have guessed what would happen there?
I like Caroline
Yeah.
Quentin's getting all that plastic encased food out of the fridge going, there's so much food. There's about 10 Tupperware things, and there's 15 of them in the house. That's not a lot of food.
Right? That's what I mean. She's not good at Christmas. And I also enjoyed when she's like, oh, don't put the kids' nasty toilet roll decorations on the tree. And then he does. And I was like, she's being unreasonable. Like, kids make quite cute things with toilet rolls. He literally just TPs it with toilet paper. That's not kids' decorations. That's like vandalism. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Chris Marshall.
That's Chris Marshall.
Chris
Classic.
Marshall from the BT ads and My Family, and to a lesser extent, Love Actually.
And Death in Paradise.
Death in Paradise.
Nice.
Is
he in it with Danny John Jules, or is that a separate series?
There was some overlap.
Good.
Was
I'd love to have seen the green room with those two guys in.
Could you imagine how wild it'd be in the green room there?
I bet the amount of times I said, this isn't working, is it, Danny John? This is paradise.
Danny John? Do you think people call him Danny John?
He's got 3 first names. You got to pick one. Danny John Jules.
Just call him the cat.
Yeah. He I mean, he's been in some shocking Christmas films. Chris Marshall from the BT ads. He that bit where he finds the pregnancy kit. I don't like when people predict what's going to happen in films. I think because if it happens, you've ruined it a bit. If there's other people there, you've ruined it for them, and you're not as clever as you think you are. You just familiar narratives. Stop doing it. But as soon as that happened, it's like that's Liz Hurley's. That's Liz Hurley's pregnancy test, 100%. And it is.
Yeah, and just like, who does it in someone else's bathroom and then leaves it in an empty, open waste paper bin? Like, I don't know.
I've weed on that.
Because that bathroom's an ensuite as well, I think, isn't it? So she's got in their room for a piss.
Well, they're shagging. Go on, son. Anyway, right. Yeah.
I liked the joke in
Put your hands in the air.
When the youngest daughter went to the pub and she was like I don't know if she was trying to be cool or what, because I don't get what the acting was in this whole film. She just went old-fashioned straight up, and the barman, quick as a flash, went, "Oh, you've read my Tinder profile then." I thought that was quite funny. Like, he's a witty fella.
Got the riz. What is it that the kids do?
See where you've got him behind bar. He's a good lad.
Well, I mean, he deserves better than her, doesn't he? She doesn't even want to know his name.
Chains him to a bed on Christmas Day.
Oh, I'd forgotten that. Yeah,
the
just
Boy
leaves
George
him.
is in.
Yeah.
The verb is to Boy George. Yeah.
I, Boy George. You, Boy George. He, she, it, Boy George.
Their jobs, their allocated jobs, to say that they're so what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of snooty, I suppose. They don't like anyone else, especially their own family. To say that they are revered by their community. Like, Liz Hurley is the MC for a game in which a cow poos on a bingo card. I didn't have that on my 2024 bingo card.
Mm.
And
that's because a cow would shat on your bingo card, Joe. You couldn't see it. Underneath the shit was a picture of a cow shitting on your bingo card.
And I liked where
it's like Inception.
Yeah.
I like when Mumford and Grandsons were playing at the Christmas pub, and they go, "The Christmas Sisters are in." And everyone goes, "Fucking hell, the Christmas Sisters!"
Yeah.
And they get up and sing a song.
Fucking Nolan's.
I was so disappointed that Kelsey Grammar didn't go up and go, "Oh baby, I hear the blues are calling."
I was fully expecting him to just take hold of that microphone and steal the show, and they just sang a generic Christmas song nicely. Like, what? No, Kelsey Grammer's got some pipes on him.
Mm.
Bring them out. Wheel them out.
We knew that every Thursday night, Channel 4 at 8:30. He sang us out.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
If he is such a likable, great guy, why is his girlfriend an idiot?
Why is a question often used in this ridiculous folder? Or
Because he's had his fingers burnt with a clever one. Yeah. I know what they get up to. They'll be rattling your brother before you know it.
You're probably right.
A clever one.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that a couple of like askance looks at vegan being mentioned, like it's the most alien. It's really rude.
Yeah.
In the 1980s, this would have been a runaway success because it's trying to do that kind of traditional ensemble piece. All these famous people, throw them in a room, like a mad world, all that, just throw them in a room. But we hadn't had a good film version of that for a long time. You know, I seem to remember John Cleese in Rat Race with Rowan Atkinson. That was shit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I just noticed that John Cleese is playing an even more right-wing version of himself. And the American woman says, "Oh, I'm vegan." And the joke is almost like looking to camera going, "What are they bloody like?" Well, if she was taking the food off your
Would you like to eat
plate,
some wood?
I'm not a vegan, but I can't give a shit.
I don't know if I saw it right, but at one point, does it like dawn on the host daughter that she's got loads of like fox hunting pictures up, and she's like, "Oh, the vegan's going to be bothered," and then they turn away from that, and no one gives us a single shit about it. Then it's like, why did you even mention it?
Yeah,
I don't get. Like, I don't think a vegan would care that there's paintings of fox hunting on the wall. It's a stately home from
from ages ago.
Northern England.
Yeah,
Of course, there's going to be shit like that in it.
But also, like, the balls of him to be like, okay, so I've not spoken to any of my children for whatever reason, good or bad, still questionable not to speak to your children for however many years just because Caroline Quentin said, please don't. And then he's like, oh, okay, one of them, the one that's not mine, has written to me and invited me to my son-in-law's house for Christmas, and I'm not going to book a hotel nearby. I'm just going to roll in with my new wife and my suitcases and probably have a jolly merry time. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
if the only thing stopping him was someone inviting him, like, is he like a vampire? Like, why? He could have seen them before now. Like, Caroline Quentin hasn't changed her mind, I assume. It's just the daughter.
She's still
like, nothing's changed, but someone wrote to him and was like, have you thought about visiting your children? And he's like, oh.
And yeah, Caroline Quentin seemed quite happy to see him, really. She fainted at first, but that's because the writing was terrible. But then after that, she was like, yeah, he's doing all right, actually. He's not a bad guy, is he?
I'd like to use that as an excuse
to figure this out.
An excuse for fainting in real life. Oh, sorry, the writing is terrible for them. We haven't mentioned the fight scene yet. John Cleese and Fraser duking it out. Oh, and then they throw some iced water on him.
Before that fight scene started, they got up and they were like, let's do it the American way. And they start going out to fight. And I'm writing in my phone, I think that I could definitely win in a fight versus John Cleese or Kelsey Grammer.
You could take both.
And then they took their jackets off, and I thought, I retract my comment about Kelsey Grammer. I bet he can throw some fucking fists around. He's trained for that. But then I remembered he's from like the wrong side of the tracks, isn't he, originally? He's had a difficult upbringing, so of course he can fight. Fought to where he is now.
Yeah,
good lad. I really like Kelsey Grammer.
Why? Do you?
Yeah, I didn't know that until I'd watched this film. And it's a surprising one to realise that you really like someone, isn't it? Because it's so shit. You're like, hang on a minute. All I can get from this is that I really like Kelsey Grammer. I enjoyed Frasier a lot. He's good in The Simpsons. Yeah. And cheers. He's done all right.
And he's a really great person in real... Oh, hang on. No, he's a shit. He's a shitbag. He's a real shitbag.
I just don't think any scene wouldn't have been improved by the addition of Niles. I was really missing Niles. I just think he would have pulled the whole
Yeah.
thing together, because the
Yeah.
snobbery and the nouveau riche kind of,
Yeah.
he would have tied it.
Or as a countermand to that, you could have had Cliff Clavin from Cheers come in. Say, oh, hey, I got, like, well, it's the thing about mansions in the Yorkshire area, Yeah, love
Could have
that.
had all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Or I could have just watched fucking Cheers, which is
Yeah, that's what we
great.
should have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they got a Christmas one? Probably.
Cheers
You
is
could have got about
maybe the
3 or 4
only
episodes.
It's the only
3 or
show,
4
Cheers, that
episodes.
doesn't dip at all. It's always great. Like right through to season 11, it's still as good as the first bit. Brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, should we do a podcast on that?
Yeah.
Why
I
can't
think we're
we
better
do
than
that?
this.
Yeah, this is beneath us, isn't it?
It is.
Like Hallmark is just our level. Hallmark films. This is beneath us. I like speaking down to people. I know Kelsey Grammer's playing an Englishman who adopted an American accent, but he's so American when he's in the pub and goes, "Waitress, some whiskey chases for me and my daughters." It's like, no, pal. Like, I work with a lot of people in hospitality in South London, and they'd have shivved you for talking to them like that. You go to the bar, sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't neck a whiskey. A nice whiskey, you sip it. Life, pro-life
Yeah.
tip.
And Kelsey would know that, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A nice scotch
Yeah.
by a roaring fire. Come on.
A good little bit at the end, which made him, like, for the Christmas bingo business, he was actually Santa Claus.
Yeah. With
All
the
the way
snow.
through, you're like, he's Father Christmas because he's the father of the Christmas children. Oh, he is Father Christmas, but he alludes to not being Santa in any way throughout the whole entire film until at the end his
Yeah.
bird, for want of a better phrase, his girlfriend says,
Fuck's sake.
"Oh, I just wish it had snowed. I just wish it had snowed." And he goes, "Leave it with me. I'm not called Christmas for nothing." And then it fucking snows. That's magic. That's Santa. Full stop.
Yeah.
Kelsey is Santa. Thank you.
Yeah,
Christmas
it
made.
does seem very Father Christmas-ish
Yeah.
to like walk out on your children on Christmas Day forever.
Yeah.
Until they're 58
Thing
when you
is,
come
though,
back.
Oh, I think she
you
made a
clearly not paid attention to the twist though there, because he didn't walk out on him. He was forced out because
Oh.
his wife had cheated on him and had a child with his brother. I mean, I think I'd walk out on Daisy if she did that to me.
Yeah, you'd walk out on
But
Daisy.
maybe I won't leave it 27 years to talk to my own kids again.
Right? Like the
Yeah.
kids, some would say the children are innocent in the situation.
Yeah. They're innocent until you meet them and then you're like, "Ugh."
But maybe they'd have been lovely if he'd have been.
Yeah.
Although actually the age gap between them, like the age gap between Liz Hurley and Tallulah Riley is such that they can't have been raised in the same house at all.
Yeah.
How old's
And
Tallulah Riley?
I think she's
What does
early
he say now?
30s, is she?
Because I thought it was quite refreshing that I think this is the only film I've ever seen where every single speaking role was someone over 40. But someone who's just turned 40, it made me want to kill myself. What's her name? Tallulah Riley.
Oh no, she's 39.
Yeah.
But you know, this was a couple of years ago. So she was probably about 37. Liz Hurley is a good 20 years older. Like, would you still be knocking around the house in your mid-20s? I don't know. I mean, you might.
Yeah.
With your
Well,
dysfunctional
it depends.
mother
They
having
might
an
have had a
affair.
house like that when they were growing up, and it's like, yeah, I may as well stay here because look at it. I could get my own place, but look at this.
Do you think this film was shot in the height of summer? Because all
I
the
think they
trees
all
were in
are.
full leaf, and it was kind of so
Yeah.
clearly a
Yeah.
filter, like a winter filter, put on the front of it.
At least they didn't bother. I mean, I know the last scene was fake snow, but at least they didn't bother with it for the rest of it because it would have just looked so shit.
I've experienced many a Yorkshire Christmas, and I can't remember snow being at a single one of them.
No.
I do like that the final shot is like they've all learnt the error of their ways, I think, and as a symbol of that, they're hosting like a soup drive at the local old people's home in the most opulent surroundings. It's the richest old people's. It's not like you've gone to some homeless shelter.
Yeah.
They've gone, well, let's just give
Yeah, they're
grandma
trying to
some
raise
dinner.
funds for these rich people.
Who bloody love a PlayStation.
Yeah.
If my grandma had accidentally got a PlayStation for Christmas, she wouldn't go, let's have a turn.
It's mine now.
She'd go, take that out on my site.
Did you like Comedy Grandad, though?
Yeah, oh,
He was hilarious.
he was, wasn't he? Yeah,
When
yeah.
he said, oh, she said, oh, you're wearing odd shoes. And he said, oh, but she's got another pair just like him. I thought we could have shaved 30 seconds of this film. And you left that in.
Yeah.
He's not even a part. He's not even named. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
God,
He's
I really felt my life ticking by. Did you?
No, I've never looked at the timer more than for this film. This was the record, I think.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I
stopped
got
it a
through
lot.
it in one sitting.
Oh no,
Easily.
it was
I mean,
one
sped it
sitting,
up a little bit.
but I was checking to see how long I had a lot. It wasn't by any means the worst film, but it was tough. And one that quite frustrated me was, I'm usually dead against any kind of thoughts on tokenism or anything. The lesbian angle of the Beatles fan I found really annoying because it was clearly a straight writer going, and she can be gay, and then she just gets a girlfriend, and then with no narrative arc, with no anything.
Stunning girlfriend as
Yeah,
well.
quite. And it's just, oh, now she's got a girlfriend too. She's like, well, that could have been probably the most interesting story of the whole thing, but it felt like a tokenistic, just a slap on the, and that as well. So,
It was just soapy, wasn't it? It was like a soap opera, but like shit and sped up. Like, it's interesting you watched it sped up because it, in many ways, the plots they were like, oh, everyone's learned something. Have they? Everyone's completely changed from what they wanted. Like, their core morals and values have completely shifted because of what's gone on, and we don't need to tell you why.
Yeah.
You can see why.
Quite.
Did you not see Cow Bingo? Of course she wants children now when she hated her own nephew and niece 10 minutes ago. It doesn't make any, like, they've all changed so much. And like, oh, of course she's interesting now. She's got a girlfriend. She could talk about something that isn't the Beatles. No,
although, what music do you like? Well, anything by the Beatles. That was a David Brent pushing your fingers together. There was we've already done the finger bang. We don't want to.
It was very Richard
It'd have been great if she
Curtis.
went anything by the Scaffold.
Oh, that'd been great.
I love Lily the Pink. Yeah, Lily the Pink.
Oh, it'd have been great if they just went a completely different. I like anything by LMFAO. Yeah. Oh, I like any grime. Any grime. Wicked. Lily the Pink. All right, I think that is way more attention than that film deserves at all. We do hope you enjoyed that. We've got one more. We're just going to do 4 this time, as mentioned before, but it's going to be on a film we went for just because of the title, called Hot Frosty, and it's on Netflix. Watch that. All right, say bye, everyone. The old, ew. Yeah, magic. All right, bye.
Bye.